Can't see. Hello, everyone. This is Martha Davidson, and I am here because I am so honored to be blessed to be in this space with Monica and Mama Com. It's been part of this, and I just wanted to take this time to honor each of you who have showed up for this session and the next sessions over the next few days. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about legacy. I am a transformational speaker, author, and I am very passionate about emotional healing and emotional wellness. And why I am so passionate about it is because when we hold on to emotional pain and grief that we acquired somewhere during our life, it affects our legacy. And what we want to do, and what I want to share with you today, is that we want to be able to be fully present for our family, for our friends, be fully present for everyone that is meant to see us and to see our light as we move through life. And how we do that is first of all understanding that often our personal reality is pinned by some of our issues around emotional stress, emotional silence. So I want to share with you a few things in that area so that you can have a better appreciation, so you can understand how at any age, not just in your 50s and 60s, to live a legacy of love, joy, and peace. So first I want to start off by saying that all of us have stories. All of us have different paths that we've taken in that story. But what we must understand, if our story is connected to some type of adversity, if we don't allow ourselves to acknowledge that, then we are living in a world of what I call self deception. Because when you hold on to those emotional pains, even though we were never taught as children and our parents didn't really recognize the importance of teaching us emotional self-regulation, that it is important for us to release that. Why do we need to release it? Because I'm going to try to do this and hold the phone at the same time. But we have an emotional brain, and our emotional brain consists of, on the left, say, just go with me here because I can't really move it, is our beliefs, our values. What we experience is on the right. And those are our memories. And right in the middle of that emotional brain is all our central, like your smells, your taste. It also represents our body. And it also represents how we show our body movements. And so when we talk about the values on one side, it also represents our beliefs. Our beliefs are often the triggers of how we think. And how we think, then it ignites to our responses. And our responses are showing up in our body or in our heart. And why all of this is important is because we live in this world that, because we never understood how to get rid of our emotional pain, we are living in the self-deception. Because what happens is, if you see what I'm showing you, is that these are all interconnected. And until we are able to stop the thoughts that create those, what you think are in the room of suppression, they're not. They're holed up in one of those values or beliefs, and they trigger when somebody says something that you don't like. They trigger when you have a smell that reminds you of something that was unpleasant, that created your adversity. They trigger when those memories are activated because of someone saying that you are not good enough and you're not worthy enough. So, and once we release that and acknowledge that, what that does, it changes our responses. It changes our responses from being negatively impacted to being positively impacted. And how that happens is we begin to change our thoughts because we now have a different perspective on our hearts. Our hearts are where everything flows. The Bible says that you think of in your heart, so is he. And the Bible also talks about everything flows through the heart. And so those feelings that are created with those thoughts can be monitored and managed better if we are allowed to understand that the magnetic field, we're all energy, and that magnetic field is just a representation of our vibrational energy level. And that magnetic field in our heart is 60 times stronger than what's in our thoughts. So if we are able to anchor our thoughts in something that's positive, we can then anchor it also even more with positivity in our heart. And so, how do we do something like that when we were sexually abused, when we were physically abused, when we were all these things that is unimaginable? And we have lived so long in the guilt. We're able to do that because we have some scriptures around that. I'm not a Bible quoter completely, but what I know in James, it talks about count your journey. All the things that happen in your life, even the negativity, count it all joy. Why do I count it all joy? Because there are gifts, there are lessons, and there are blessings in whatever that adversity that you were suffering from. And if we're able to anchor in our heart that love, we can begin to open up those gifts that were given because of our adversity. If we're able to understand that what we thought was suppressed is actually in our head when we actually think about things that are unpleasant or that remind us of those memories, then we're able to release those negativities and then anchor them in positivity because we count everything joy and we know that there's lessons and blessings in that. We're able to move out of the self-deception room and move into the self-appreciation room. The self-appreciation room is where we anchor our heart, and our thoughts are then are actually showing up in that, replicated in that feeling. Why? Because we also learned about what we call the fruits of the spirit. Those are the pillars. Those are the things that hold us when we don't know how to hold ourselves. Those are the things like love, joy, peace, long suffering. All of those things that are in the fruits of the spirit are the pillars of our love and our appreciation and our gratitude. So if we can recognize that when we're holding on to the negativity of emotional silence, it's showing up. No matter what you think, it's showing up. It's showing up in our avoidance. It's showing up in our belief that we're not good enough. It's showing up in our rationalization. It's showing up in our anger. It's showing up in our overeating. It's showing up in all the things that we think they're not, they are, because our perceptions have clouded our belief that we are free of those emotional pains by not having them focused. But be sure that emotions that remain inside, that never get acknowledged, are still inside. And until you express them and release them, you will always be finding some way to relieve that pain that you can't seem to. And you can do that by just remembering that you can count it all joy. You can find the lessons in the blessing. Remembering that when you're so heavy and trying to figure out how to move through life, that if we remove the worry, the doubt, and begin to anchor in faith and hope that there is a better and brighter side, then we can always, always live in a higher vibration. We can always show up for our families the way we need to show up for our family. See, the reason why I'm so passionate about that is because of my journey. See, I lost my mother in childbirth, and I was in and out of foster care, and I had a lot of impairments. I had issues with speaking. I couldn't really speak well. I had thick glasses, and my complexion was dark. And during those days when I was coming up, those weren't things that you were proud of. So I became the schoolyard bully. I became the person that they used to wait for recess to come so that they could laugh at me and talk about me. I was a person that was so wounded, so hurt. But yet I had a mother, and my mother adopted me just shy of my 6th birthday. And she taught me perseverance. She taught me persistence. And through that, I was able to rise, even though my 5th grade teacher told my mother she was living in a dream world, that I was not even supposed to be in a class with regular students. But yet she let that not disturb them. She believed more in me than I believed in myself. And she taught me everything that was needed to be successful. She taught me to move even when things didn't seem my way. She taught me all those things that allowed me to be able to become who I became in the area of my area of expertise, which is IT, something I never went to school for. But yet I was able to go to over 12 countries and speak to various executive managers and tell them all about IT. I was a person who uh, didn't know how to speak, and now here I am speaking. I'm a person that was told that because of how you show up is going to limit the way you're going to be accepted in the corporate world. And yet I was able to overcome some of that and become uh, a clerk, from becoming a clerk to an executive in a major corporation. Those are things that taught me, my mother taught me from persistence. But what she didn't teach me was that fulfillment that I would get internally. See, we were brought up in a world of external validations and not a world of internal appreciation. And so when I realized that all that I had achieved still left me empty, all that I achieved left me stressed. All that I achieved left me in the state that I was not good enough. I was not smart enough because I had not released all of the pain that I had uncovered, that I covered up with delusional thoughts that I had suppressed it. And when I recognized that, I found out on this journey that 85% of all medical visits for the 50 plus community are related to adverse childhood experiences. And if we understand that if we release that, that our emotional stress would also affect us physically and allow us to be able to live in a better state of mind and a better state physically. And if we also understood that how we think we show up is not how we showed up. We think that because we suppressed it, that we're not showing up trying to make our kids be something they're not. We're not looking at their gifts. We're also projecting our hurt and pain on them. When we recognize that, let's look at our story. Let's look at how we can be more impactful as leaders of our families and leaving those legacies. We can begin to enhance our relationships. We can be able to begin a journey of unconditional love, where it's rooted in our inner beings and not in our external validation. When we come to that realization, then we are able to free our mind to be able whatever we want to be, and whoever we thought we couldn't be, we can fulfill it. See, we live so often in that thought that we can't be because somebody told us we couldn't be. But when it's God driven and God given, you can be any and everything you want to be at any age. It does not matter. But if you show up with your vulnerabilities, if you show up when you're not sure that if it's right or wrong, but if you just show up knowing that you have lived in transparency, then your family would appreciate you. The legacy will stop from that generational hurt and pain of not addressing it. The legacy will begin to understand our youth, begin to understand our children, begin to understand us, because that's key. The key is understanding us. And one of the things when we talk about judging others and holding on to whatever happened when we feel like our dignity has been stripped, I would say to you, the Bible says, bless those. And why are we blessing them? We're blessing them because it allows us to free our mind. It's not because we have to go tell them that you took away my dignity, whether they're living or not, but it's the fact that you acknowledge their pain and that you acknowledge that you no longer are a victim of their circumstances. You can live free. You don't have to run around trying to find substitutes for what's already inside of you. So what I offer you today is to begin to look at your life and begin to look at if you're holding on to any emotional stress. Begin to look at how you can change your relationships with your family. Begin to have the conversation. Begin to continue to work on yourself. Because if you're holding on to grief, pain that you encountered as a result of adversity, it's going to take some time to heal. Get in a community that will help you heal. Get in an environment where you are able to move out of that state of not worthy to a state of more than enough. Get in a community that will allow you to fulfill your creativity that's already inside of you. You see, if you just have what I call the mustard seed faith, you are able to be able to move things that you never thought you could move. You are able to be what you never thought you could be, but you have to be courageous enough to accept and acknowledge that your emotional pain, that your emotional silence is is creating distress in every avenue of your life. So I just want to encourage everyone that it no longer is okay to hold on to your past. That is negative. It's no longer okay to allow your family and friends not to know who you really are. It's no longer okay for you to live in silence and not knowing how you are showing up. You know, I had a relative who recently buried their parent, and they said, I hope that you find peace, that you were never able to find peace on earth. That is a legacy that I don't think you want to have. And I just offer you this. I've been going on, and I haven't taken any questions or understand what you may be thinking. But what I can say to you, if you know somebody, or if you feel that this is you and you can resonate with this story, if you can resonate with the fact that you're holding on to these negative thoughts and pain, then I suggest and recommend and invite you to take the leap. See, what is it costing you to hold on to that pain, that emotional stress? What is it costing you? What is costing you is your peace, your fulfillment, your creativity, your purpose or why you came here, your desire to make all of your heart's desires come true. So I'm Martha Davidson, your sister in this journey of transforming your adversity into positivity. Thank you.
My God, that's all I have to say. Miss Martha Davidson, let me tell you, that is awesome, awesome, awesome. You all, I don't know if you had a moment to just hear her completely, but if you are just joining us, you want to catch the replay. She dropped some major, major nuggets, you all. Thank you so much for jumping on here today and speaking for Mama's Con 2020. I don't know about you, but make sure that we are so that we can stick to the schedule. But if you have any questions for Martha Davidson, please just let us know. She did an amazing, amazing job, you all, right? Let me know. Give me your feedback. Let me know. Did you resonate with her conversation? How it's helped your perspective with your family. But Martha, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I can't hear you, but
It's all right. It's all
I,
right. I know we're having a little technical difficulties, but I just wanted to get on here and
but
say thank you. But thank you so much.
I'm I'm willing to answer any questions that you may have in that space, and you can contact me. Monica has my information. This is such a huge issue in the African American community, in every community, but especially in ours, because we had to struggle so hard to get everything that we got. And so when we are able to release all those generational curses that have been put upon us around holding on to emotions in silence, holding on to the fact that children don't have emotions. If we're able to just raise up a new generation of being able to self regulate their emotion, we will create a better world. We will create humanity at a new level. And so, again, I appreciate everyone listening. And I'm sorry I can't hear you, but feel free to reach out to me.